In this episode of Camp Nowhere, there are words of passion that are not suitable for little ears. Please listen with caution. Hey, can you come outside and play? I bet it's been a while since you've heard that. When was the last time that you as an adult went outside to play? Or when was the last time you just did something purely for the enjoyment of doing it? Well, over the last 30 years, there has been a ton of new science that has uncovered the importance of play, not only for children, but also adults. It's been found to have an incredible amount of health benefits, both mental and physical, when adults participate in play. Yet, so few of us are doing it. Okay, before we get into the bulk of this episode, you could play a drinking game where you take a drink every time I say play, but I don't recommend it. It might kill you. Okay, so why the hell are we talking about play? Learning the importance of play as an adult has been probably one of the most valuable lessons I have learned in my 30s. I was brought up on the idea that if you work hard, you can do anything that you can dream of. And I really do commend my parents for raising me on that idea because I do think it's true. But I've also come to realize that there might be a little bit more to it than just that. When I entered the working world, I became so singularly focused on my goals and on my aspirations. Because, hey, I could do anything I set my mind to. Whether or not I realized it, my 20s was completely outlined by the mantra of hustle, work, grind, do whatever it takes in my power to work hard and achieve my goals. Then, once I had achieved said goals, that's when I could be happy. Work now, happy later. That was my existence. My work ethic and my drive has been something that people have often commended me for, so I went about my business doing the thing that everybody told me that I was good at. It wasn't until years later it felt like I had just slammed into a wall. We had just gotten back from Alaska. We had spent the summer up there filming our very first sponsor-supported series, Lost and Found. It's on YouTube if you're interested. And from the outside looking in, I had achieved everything I had set out to achieve. I had achieved the goals that all of that time and energy was spent working towards. I was a self-supporting artist. I was traveling and making a living off of my art. But during the post-production process, I realized that I was at the absolute lowest point in my life that I had ever been to. How was that possible? I had everything I was working towards. Why couldn't I just be happy about it? Achieving all of my goals and still not being happy made me realize that I needed to take a long, hard look at my life and what had gotten me there. After a lot of work, I came to understand a great many things about myself, but one of the biggest contributors to how I was feeling was that I had turned everything I loved into work. My life was void of doing anything simply for the joy of doing it. Hiking. I've always loved hiking, but I just wouldn't put time or energy into it unless it was contributing to some bigger project or something that just went in towards our work. The travel that we had been doing that we loved, something it just needed to be filmed. We needed to find a way to make money off of it. And I just came to understand that I was operating out of a scarcity mindset. And this is a big topic, potentially for another day. But I just feared that if I wasn't continuously working, that I wouldn't have the ability to provide for us. But in the process, it drove me to eliminate play from literally every corner of my life in favor of work. And the crazy thing is, I had done this under the guise that my work ethic was one of the most admirable characteristics about me. It's just crazy how misguided that was. I'm the type of person, though, that once I identify a problem, I can't unsee it. Something had to be done about it because at the end of the day, I love what I do and I want to keep doing it. I want to continue to get joy from these things. And most importantly, I wanted to get back to being the happy-go-lucky person that I know myself to be, but had very much lost track of somewhere out there along the way. In need of help, I started working with Terea Rodriguez, who was a guest here on the podcast back in episode 7. Great episode, 10 out of 10. Definitely recommend that one. And through working with her, I started to realize that the extremes that I had gone to in favor of being productive, I had sacrificed everything that made me happy to make that happen, which was my innate sense of play. As I slowly started to let go of the grind, I filled that newfound space in my life with play. And the more I've done it, the more I've come to realize the benefits that I have truly felt in every single corner of my life. So that is why we're talking about play. But you may be asking, what exactly is play for adults? According to Dr. Stuart Brown, who is the founder of the National Institute for Play, yes, there's an institute for that, he describes play as a state of mind that is one that has you absolutely absorbed in an activity that provides enjoyment and a suspension of the sense of time. Play is self-motivated, meaning that it's something that you do, and when it's over, you want to do it again and again. Whether or not an activity is play has everything to do with both the motivation and the mental attitude while doing said activity, rather than the actual action itself, which is something I had never really considered. So allow me to share a personal experience to help illustrate this idea. When I first started rock climbing, it was something I would have told anyone that I was doing for fun. However, on the inside, I was actually very critical of myself as well as my ability. If I wasn't able to climb or do something easily that someone else was able to do, particularly people that I internally thought that I was better than, oh God, this is like so much to admit out loud, actually. It's quite embarrassing. But here we are. So when that would happen, I would mentally beat myself up over it, and truly I would have a terrible time. It kind of got to the point where I was starting to make the decision if I wanted to continue to climb or not. And, you know, of course, it's completely unshocking I was having a terrible time based on that attitude. I legitimately would be miserable in the woods on a beautiful day surrounded by my friends. So you can bet your sweet ass that I did not take down any of those climbs because with that attitude, absolutely nothing is getting accomplished. This is a great example of a play activity that is decidedly not play. I'm happy to report that over time, I did learn to let go of those expectations and unnecessary standards that I was holding myself to. It took a lot of time and work to get there, but eventually climbing did become play for me. And as soon as I did, what do you know? A natural byproduct of that was I started to improve. Play for adults can be a great number of things, so here's a few signifiers if an activity is play specifically for you, because remember, it's going to be different for everybody. Play can be anything you feel drawn to or are curious about. Play is happening if you lose track of time. Play doesn't have to be something that you are good at, and it should be something where you're not holding yourself to any particular standards, as demonstrated by my early shitty relationship with climbing. When participating in play, you should feel excited, engaged, and when it's over, you can't wait to do it again. Play can also be something that is physically challenging or forces you to solve a problem, but there can't be any consequences if you do not accomplish it. So what are the benefits of play for adults? Fun fact, our brains actually wire themselves as we grow. Even though about 70% of our brain growth happens before the age of 3, our brains actually continue to develop and change throughout our entire lives. For a long time, it was believed that play was something that was only important for the brain development of children. But over the last 30 years, scientists have been unearthing tons of evidence which shows that play can influence and promote brain growth truly at any age. Dr. Brown and many other leading neuroscientists have done studies that have found that play in adults helps keep our brains flexible by promoting neural plasticity, which is the brain's ability to change, adapt, and learn with age. Play helps us ward off depression. Play helps us build a sense of optimism, resiliency, and perseverance when things do not go according to plan. Play sharpens our social and emotional skills that help us be more open and empathetic people. It also helps us cope with stress and learn how to relax. And play helps our brains develop problem-solving skills and creative thinking. Obviously, all of these things have very real-world benefits that we can use as children, but these are also incredibly important skills to have as adults. And not only to have these skills, but to continue to sharpen them. Have you ever had a really good idea after going for a walk or doing something completely unrelated to what you had a good idea about? Play gives our brains a break, allowing our subconscious to mull over problems or ideas that we have kind of simmering in the background. Play helps us see our challenges with fresh eyes when we go back to work. When we are in a state of play, we no longer are just working against a clock. We're not on a timeline, we're just existing and being present to what we think and feel. I found that when I'm no longer trying to be, quote, productive, I start to notice things around me a lot more, and I also start to ask questions about them. And because I have time on my hands and I'm not up against any deadline, it allows me to kind of explore those questions and ideas and follow that curiosity wherever it leaves me. And curiosity inevitably leads to learning. I found the more time I spend in a state of play, the more I just become organically hungry for knowledge. Any knowledge. For anything that intrigues me. So what are the types of play for adults? I think that this is one of my favorite things that I learn whilst doing research for this episode, is that there are actually play personality types. Again, Dr. Brown, he's like a real MVP in the category of play science. So be sure to look him up. By the way, I will have a bunch of resources relating to his work as well as a few others. But Dr. Brown's research has found that there are 8 different types of play personalities among adults. These personality types can help you identify the type of play that suits you best. So I'm going to quickly list them off to give you an idea of what they are. But if this is something of interest to you, I really do recommend reading into them in more depth because it might also help you find specific types of play that suit you best. The collector. Play for a collector comes from the thrill of collecting objects or experiences. The competitor. They access joy by participating in a competitive game that has specific rules. The creator or artist. The creator or artist is obviously somebody who enjoys using their spare time to make things. The director. This is the type of person who really enjoys planning, like planning a vacation or an elaborate dinner party. The explorer. This is somebody who likes to explore physically, mentally, and emotionally. So this can be of new places, of feelings, or even of themselves. The joker. Obviously, this is somebody who loves foolishness, jokes, making pranks. The kinesthetic. This is somebody who loves to move. And then the storyteller. Obviously, this is somebody who loves to tell stories and to use their imagination. Something tells me that you can see a little bit of yourself in a few of these different types of play personalities. I can speak for myself and say that I think that I can see myself, or at least a little bit of myself, in every single one of these categories. After hearing this list of personality types, I did what any modern lady would do, which is look up a test on the internet to see if I can figure out which one best describes me. And sure enough, I found one. And I do promise it was not on Facebook. Instead, the test I found was created by a psychotherapist and artist, Lindsay Brahman, whose mission is to demystify therapy through art. I spent some time cruising around her website. Her work is amazing, and I can solidly say she's a lady after my own heart. But her online quiz helps you identify your strongest play personality type. And all of these are going to be based on Dr. Brown's 8 play personalities. I'm sure this will come as a shock to no one, but I found that my strongest personality type is the explorer. The explorer is somebody who enjoys play through physical exploration, mental exploration, or emotional exploration. And I couldn't help but laugh because I do feel like nothing has rang more true for me. Those are very much core personality traits of mine. Okay, quick story time. Back in 2012, Owen and I hit the road for 6 months. It was actually the trip that led us to the full-time traveling that we're doing now. But back then, we traveled with a cooler to keep all of our food cold. But as the ice melted, it routinely drowned our veggies, leaked into jars, and cost us what felt like a small fortune in ruined food. And on top of all of that, we had to buy a new bag of ice every few days. The process was equal parts frustrating, exhausting, and expensive. Thankfully, we now have a Dometic CFX5, which isn't just a cooler. It's a powered fridge and freezer that keeps food fresh, drinks ice cold, thankfully without the hassle of ice. The Dometic CFX5 line comes in a number of sizes to fit into any vehicle or camper. It's rugged, it's road ready, and adventure tested by me and so many other travelers. Stay out longer and eat better with Dometic. If you enjoy traveling and storytelling about traveling, maybe you'll be interested in our latest travel series, Meant to Be. The 6-part series follows our journey through Western Canada and the Barrier Islands as we check off our final bucket list destinations in North America. I don't want to give away too much, but I can say if you're listening to this podcast and you find some of the themes that we explore interesting, something tells me that you'll enjoy the series. You can watch Meant to Be over on our YouTube channel or on Patreon. Our Patreon community gets to watch episodes 1 week early and has access to a prologue episode for the series, as well as a whole bunch of other stuff too. You can find all the details for both of those shows in the show notes of this episode, and I hope you enjoy. As someone who's been working on integrating more play into my life, this is a little bit of my advice. Always keep an open mind about different types of play. If something sounds interesting or fun to you, you should try it. A few episodes back, when I was talking to Shruti Lapp, she mentioned that she found a very new and deep love for running. It was not something that she expected to enjoy, let alone love, but she decided she was willing to try it simply because she was curious about it. So it's amazing what happens if you're willing to take a chance and try something new. The great thing about play is that if it ends up not being your thing, that's okay. You've learned that it's not for you, and I feel like there's value in that too. Getting back to the things that you loved to do as a kid is a great place to find ideas for the types of play that you might enjoy now. Just recently, I was joking with a friend that adulthood can simply be described as coming to terms with the fact that all of my interests and passions are unchanged from when I was 8. So what that means is my passions are stomping around the creek looking for lizards and dolphins. Not looking for dolphins in the creek, but just dolphins as a category in general. But in all seriousness, the closer I've gotten to the things that I loved to do when I was younger, the happier I have become. Different moods call for different types of play. For instance, one day I might feel like I'm in need of a long walk so I can just focus on the beauty in the world around me. And on another day, I might want a super competitive game of Catan. And then on another day, maybe I just want to sit somewhere and draw my sketchbook. Be sure to listen to what those instincts are and follow them wherever they take you. Try a bunch of different things. Always follow your instincts. I touched on this earlier, but do your best to let go of holding yourself to standards or requiring that you be good at things that you do for play. I obviously had a lot of work to do in this category. It's a very tough thing to let go of. But the more you do it, the more easily play will come for you in general. So try to keep an eye out when those feelings of being self-critical come up and just do your best to step outside of it. It's a practice, so always just try to keep yourself on the straight and narrow when it comes to that. It's wildly rewarding when you finally can master your brain and just tell it, I just want to do this for fun. I don't have to be good at it. When you are feeling stuck or frustrated with something in your personal or professional life, that's usually when you need to walk away and go outside and play. It is so hard in the moment to realize that's what you need, and then it's something else entirely to give yourself the freedom in that moment to step away. But every time I personally have managed to step away, I find that when I come back to the problem, it isn't much of a problem after I gave myself a little bit of time to do something fun. If you have a pet or a child, do your best to play when they want to play. It can be easy to brush them off because you feel like you're busy or up against a deadline, but I found that every time I've decided to instead take a little bit of a break and play chase with my cat Boo, simply because she requested it, I feel so much joy in those moments. I felt like I showed up for her, and that time that we spent together playing, we got to connect with one another, and I always feel so much joy in return during those moments. Now that I regularly participate in play, I find that I now approach problems and inconveniences in my life with a whole new attitude that I don't think I ever thought was possible. Changes in plans that were once an inconvenience are now a side quest where there's intrigue around every corner because now you don't know what's going to happen. Challenges are now solvable, giving me a chance to think critically and creatively. And for whatever reason, this story comes to mind. Owen and I, my husband, we were home for the holidays, and his parents asked us to hang their TV in their living room. And for whatever reason, we were having the hardest time finding the studs in their walls. And I think that for an hour, we were probing this wall, trying to figure out where the studs were so we could safely hang this TV. Owen got frustrated and walked away. And for whatever reason, I was just like, I'm smarter than this wall. This wall will not take advantage of me. I just need to keep going one foot in front of the other, and I will figure this out. And sure enough, eventually I did figure it out, and I found those studs, and I found out that, like, weirdly, they were kind of far back from the wall. Don't know why that was. But anyways, I did figure it out, and we got their TV hung up on the wall. And it was incredibly rewarding to see how happy Owen's mom was that we had done that for her. But I think that the lasting impression that I was left from that experience was I was just really proud of myself for not feeling like I had been beat. Like, I knew I could figure it out. I just had to have the patience with myself to move forward through the problem slowly and get it sorted. The more I've learned about and leaned into play in my own life, the more ludicrous it feels to me that we as a society measure success by our accomplishments, our productivity, how hard we hustle, and how much money we make, rather than our health and our happiness. It feels like those two things should be the actual measure of our success as human beings during our very brief and beautiful time here on Earth. Play is a radical act of resistance to whatever that status quo is, and is a way of reclaiming joy and a connection with ourselves and those around us. In researching the actual science behind play for this episode, I came across this brilliant quote that feels like it just rings so true on this topic. It was by a man named George Bernard Shaw, who was an English playwright. And he said, "We don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing." So, I'm going to ask you again. Can you come outside and play? There you go. That's the right answer. Okay, now race you down the hill.